Good morning. Good morning, my beautiful friends. This is your wake up call with Maui Paul. I am Maui Paul. We are here today to say some nice things about ourselves. Happy Monday, everybody. It is the beginning of a new week, and we are here to rock it. We are here to affirm some good stuff about us and set the tone for everything that is to come. I am just excited that you guys are here. Good morning, Shauna. Good morning, Jelly. Good morning, Dan. Good morning, John L. Good morning, Jan. Wonderful to see all of you guys here today. All right, so yeah, we're going to do the same thing we do every day. I'm going to pull a card off the top of the deck. I'm going to ask you if you are the affirmation on the card, and we are going to respond out loud together. I am that affirmation. As we do that, we are expanding our own horizons. We're expanding our own possibilities. We are creating a new life for ourselves, because ultimately the life that we have right now is the result of the choices that we've made. And the choices that we've made throughout life have all been born of our own belief systems, be they empowering belief systems or limiting belief systems. No matter what, those belief systems have determined the course of our life thus far. So let's upgrade those belief systems and give ourselves new options, new paths to choose from. Because as we do that, we are going to be able to really ultimately grow into the ultimate versions of ourselves and be the people that we dream of being. So let's have some fun today. Pull a card and say that today I am imaginative. I am imaginative. I create ideal situations in my mind. So I am imaginative. I create ideal situations in my mind. Are you imaginative? You are imaginative. You create ideal situations in your mind. I'm going to write that down in the comments that I am imaginative, that I create ideal situations in my mind, and I encourage you to do the same thing. Because as we are doing that, then we are having to imagine up what it's like to even have those thoughts. So I am imaginative. I create ideal situations in my mind. Now, when I was a kid, I remember that I used to dream vividly. I mean, my dreams were so real as a child. And I remember that I used to look forward to going to sleep because I knew that I was going to have cool dreams. And I was kind of hoping that, that there were some dreams that ended before I found out how they resolved. And I was excited to find out how they resolved. I was very curious about that. And so I remember I would go to sleep thinking about the dreams that I had had previously, hoping that I would be able to get a sequel. Now I almost never did get a sequel because dreams are what they are. But I remember that I had such incredible visions in my mind. Well, as I got older, I kind of noticed that I stopped dreaming quite so vividly. And perhaps it's because all the stresses of the world got to me. And perhaps it was because I started to realize that there were some limitations in my life that were stopping me from just instantly becoming that person that I saw when I dreamed, that vision of myself that was perfect, that vision of myself that was fully actualized. I'm not entirely sure what happened, but the fact is that I stopped dreaming, and that not only did I stop dreaming at nighttime, but also eventually I stopped dreaming during the day. Now, for me, that was a really big realization because when I recognized I had stopped dreaming during the day, when I had stopped kind of imagining and being able to vividly visualize my life, I recognized that also I was losing direction, that I had kind of settled into a default state where I had found stuff that worked for me, and that I was just kind of living in accordance with whatever it was that worked. And that I wasn't trying for anything better. I wasn't trying for anything bigger. I wasn't really. I had gotten to the point where I what was working, but at the same time, it was still very limiting for me. I was frustrated because I wasn't being the biggest version of myself, and I knew it. And so I made a promise to myself that I was going to get back to daydreaming the way that I did when I was a kid. That I was going to get back to that, just sitting down and closing my eyes and imagining what I actually wanted, because I realized that the imaginings that I had were me imagining what I didn't want, how I would catastrophize, how I would get a good idea, but then I would talk myself out of it because I was imagining all the things that could possibly go wrong. So for me, this card is a permission slip. It's a challenge to make sure that whenever I am imagining, whenever I am engaging that incredible power of my imagination, that I am doing it in a way that is empowering to myself. When I'm imagining, that I'm imagining the best possible outcome and not the worst possible outcome. That I'm imagining all the things that could go right instead of all the things that could go wrong. That I, instead of catastrophizing and thinking, oh my gosh, I'm going to make this decision and my entire life is going to end, instead of that, think to myself, oh, I'm making this decision and it's going to give me a whole new slew of options that are going to be super duper cool. So I am an imaginative person, and I create ideal situations in my mind. And oftentimes when I'm just zoned out and just sitting back enjoying this present moment, which is definitely one of my hobbies, but as I do that, I'm oftentimes imagining the ideal situations of all, the ideal outcomes for all of the stuff that I'm interested in having there to be, and for the things that I'm imagining a good outcome for. And so imagination is this thing that I mean, Jan actually brings up a very valuable point. She says it was hard to have imaginative energies when I was in survival mode. A clear indicator that I had moved into thrival mode was when I became imaginative again. Right, and it was the imagination was definitely a part of it. It's a litmus test for us. When we have the energy to imagine that things could go right, it's because there's at least some evidence that stuff is going right in our lives. When literally everything is going wrong in our lives, then it's difficult to be imaginative. It's difficult to have that and that wherewithal to create positive and ideal situations when literally everything is not ideal. And in the case of that, because Jan, I've been in that place, but in the case of that, I think the best way to point myself, in the direction that I am interested in going, is simply to focus on what is going right, even in the midst of everything going wrong, even in the midst of a survival mode where I'm making lots of decisions because I have to and not because I want to. Even in the midst of that, then still it is important to be able to focus on what is going right, what is ideal, what is a situation that we made recently that went well. Because as we do that, we are training ourselves to see more of that. And as we see more of that, it will multiply, and then we will end up in that thrival mode, that place of thriving that we really do enjoy being at. I had an incredible weekend this weekend, and I mean, I remember that I was laying in bed last night, and I had kind of gone to bed a bit early, but I was laying in bed, and I was just thinking about how satisfied that I was from the weekend, how every part of me that could be filled up was filled up, and how all of the people and the situations and all the fun things that I did, and how there wasn't one part of it that I would have changed. And as I kind of was just laying in bed early and just feeling so good about that, and just really counting my blessings. And that's when I thought about this Your Imaginative card, because I started to imagine things. I started to imagine my ideal life. And I recognized, just like Jan said, that I was in thrival mode, that I had been so filled up throughout the weekend from all of my friends and all the situations, all the amazing things that happened, that I was just in this wonderful state of contentment. And from that wonderful state of contentment, I could create more ideal situations. And so we owe it to ourselves to do that. And so as we imagine up the life that we are building, which we're starting right now, simply by affirming it to ourselves. But as we continue to imagine up that ideal life that we have for ourselves, then we will continue to see opportunities to move in that direction, because that's how it is. And so we are imaginative people. So as we go out today, let's imagine that the best stuff is possibly going to happen. Faith and fear both ask us to believe in something that hasn't happened yet. And so let's imagine ideal situations instead of catastrophic ones. Let's imagine beautiful things are happening instead of things that are scary. So let's just make sure that we are always consistently creating ideal situations in our minds. It's been really great to see you guys here. Thank you so much for coming, Janet and John L. and Dan and Jelly, Shauna and Let's see. I know some other folks came over here. Shauna and some silly person who wants to spam my channel. Thanks, Egg04. Let's see here. Guess who gets the band hammer? You get the band hammer. Goodbye. All right. So yeah, nice to see you, Teresa and Eric. Just wonderful that you guys are around. Thank you so much for being here. I will return tomorrow at 9 a.m. with another one of these cards. But until then, this is just your daily reminder that I love you and that I appreciate you and that I think that you're an amazing person. And I appreciate you for being here and for just enjoying this time with me. So, y'all are amazing, beautiful people. I'll talk to you tomorrow at 9 a.m. with another one of these cards. Until then, aloha from paradise.